Good evening, Super League fans worldwide. After a night off, I'm back doing interviews with your favourite managers. And tonight, I've got the man, the myth, the legend, the former pro scout, former finalist runner-up, the legend that is Alf Bridge. And we are going to be talking all things Aster Athletic. And it's going to be a great one. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next half an hour or so, and just embrace everything you can get from listening to this absolute legend. Because when it comes to Alf, it is all about the game. So, good evening, the legend that is Alf. How are you, sir?
Yeah, fine, thank you. And you, Steve?
Yes, very well. Thank you very much for asking. Thanks so much for joining me. I can't tell you how pleased I am to have this one-on-one time with you. And you probably don't recognise it, but you are such a legend in the CM universe. Everybody loves you, from the time you appeared on Boise's broadcast to every time you've done your quality videos on your Twitter account. Everything you do is legendary. So thank you very much for joining me.
Right, thank you, Steve. You're the real legend because you've been going the longest. Well, one of the longest.
Yeah, the reason for that's probably more egotistical than legendary status. Is because I don't want anyone to do better than I've managed to do.
Very good.
Let's get down to business, and as I've done with all the other managers, we will start with going back to the last round of Super League fixtures. Now, unfortunately, you were on the end of a 3-1 defeat to Churchtown Massive. What did you take from that game? Were there any positives?
Yes, I think there were positives, because I think, looking at the stats, I think it was 12 each on stats, on chances. They took their chances. We didn't. We had a man sent off, I think, as well. The goalkeeper had a nightmare again. So I think was a little bit unlucky in that one. So I'm quite optimistic about the future.
And that result leaves you in 8th place in the table, and quite interestingly positioned, because you're both 7 points off the top 6 and 7 points off bottom. Are you looking up or are you looking down at the halfway stage?
Definitely up, Steve. Definitely up. Yeah. We've been playoffs contenders. We've been in there. We've been in the final. So we're going to be there again, Steve, I think.
And I have to say, I'm loving the Aster Athletic hat you've got on there. Very on brand.
and the blue shirt, of course.
Of course. Strictly professional all the time, sir. Unlike me in my sort of check lounging trousers.
Oh, yeah, but you can't see what I've got nothing on underneath. You can't see that.
One of the biggest problems, possibly even going back to the old Stackington days, for you in a way has been scoring goals. Looking through your stats for this current season, Alan Smith is your top goal scorer with 5. Rui Costa's got 4. Arnold Brujink's got 3, but apart from that, there's not much else, or no one else is really contributing thus far. And we will come on to the new signing in a little while. Why do you think that a team that consists of players like Alan Smith is struggling to score goals on a regular basis?
I don't know, because he's a 20 finisher. And so is Nikolai as well, who is not a regular, and I can't understand that, because in home says Nikolai, he just bangs him for fun. But in the Super League, I can play him 2 or 3 games and nothing happens at all. Whereas Smith does chip in. Brugink is one of my low-rated players, but he's in there because he always chips in with the odd goal. It's probably the missing link I'm looking at, and you're coming to that shortly, I think.
Absolutely. One of the things that myself and some of the other managers that have taken part in these one-on-one sessions has been discussing is consistency. And one thing I noticed with your team while reviewing the stats is there is actually only 5 players who have made a minimum of 10 appearances so far, including you. You're one of the few people that's actually used 3 different goalkeepers. Is the lack of consistency, do you think, helping towards the lack of consistent performances on the pitch to help build momentum and results?
Could be, but in the case of the goalkeepers, I've had a terrible time this season with them. I've got 3 goalkeepers, and I think I should now be 9 points better off. I should now be on something, 26 points up there in the playoffs. I've had 3 goalkeepers. Each one of them has had 5s, and I've lost the game because of that, even though I've played well in some of the games. So the goalkeepers, it's all down to them. Now with Stackington, Kiotis. Now, he turned in the end, some very, very good performances and got me into the finals, I would say. Now, I haven't got that this season. I did have Bartes, but he was as erratic as all the others. So I let him go, hoping I could find a consistent keeper, which I thought was Lehman. But then again, he fell into the same trap as well, and he let me down last week. So it stems from there, really. I don't know why it is the goalkeepers are getting such low marks, and the opposition, when I play them, they're always getting 9s. So this is something I can't work out.
And on the subject of ratings, we were alluding to the link between consistency of selection and consistency of performance there. You've only got 3 players, Alan Smith, as we mentioned before, Zanetti, and an old Stackington favourite, Hakam Mild, who are averaging above a 7.5. Now, it's important in the interest of Mild, he's only actually made 2 starts and 1 sub-appearance thus far. So is the ratings a concern, or can you see that there are parts of your performance that you're just unlucky and you just need that break to get going?
I think I need to find the right balance. I'm looking for that. I've got some very good defensive midfielders. Coulson is another good midfielder. Now he's fighting for a place alongside Mild. So I'm not quite sure which is the better of the 2. Both about the same. So that's why I keep switching them about, hoping I can find one of them who can do a better job than the other. I'm still not sure. Zanetti and Vogel will always stay. But it's the other one I'm not quite sure. I mean, maybe this is where the consistency arises. Maybe they need to get somebody solid in there with them as well, the 3. Not quite sure about the centre-backs. I do switch them around as well, because you probably know this, centre-backs don't get the best of ratings. Maybe it's wrong to look at ratings for centre-backs. Because when I had Aster, he didn't get very good ratings. So I let him go, hoping to get probably another player in who could better my team rather than just one player, and slot in probably a decent centre-back in his place, which I've got. So, yes, you're right, I am consistent, but I'm still looking for that balance.
Looking ahead, and as we've alluded to, we are in the I suppose we call it the winter break, the out of Super League transfer window, and you have made, I believe it's just the one so far, but you've made one signing which is exciting, or worrying, I should say, a lot of the other managers. When we've discussed this, your new signing has come up a lot. Please tell us about your new Brazilian forward.
Will Hermy, yes. I use my old scouting skills, looked him up on the game, and found out he's got a lot of attributes that probably I need in my side. He has got that. He's got flair, and he's a clinical finisher. Something I quite haven't got up at the top. That combined. So I think he would go well with either Smith or Nikolai. So at the moment, Smith stays because he is playing well and he just scored a goal. So I'm going to put Wilhelmi in with him in the next game. I'm looking at home saves, which you know I do a lot of. He's prolific in home saves. So I've every confidence that he can make a big difference and be that sharpshooter that I've been missing for a long, long time.
A lot of the conversations I've had with managers already has sort of pretty much, they've all said that the current top six will remain the top six, and that you are generally their favourite to just miss out in seventh. Do you still think the top six is obtainable for teams like yourself, maybe Hooligans, and other teams that are just on the periphery?
Yes, yes, because you know, Steve, we've both done this. We've both won 5 games on the trot, haven't we, in the
Like
past?
you might have done.
Yeah, you did do. In one season, you had 5 wins as well. So you know this can happen. You can have 15 points in no time. So that's why I'm confident with my new addition. We can have that little edge that will push us into the playoffs. Not so sure about the others. Not quite sure. Probably come down to the end when you discuss the table.
Are you looking to make a second signing in this window, or is it just the
Yes,
forward?
I've got probably 3 or 4. I'm looking at this other missing link. Is me, I've got 3 who can score goals. I'm looking for this other one, the other attacking midfielder who can chip in. I've got Cutters off. On paper, he should be doing the job because he's a 20 finisher. But maybe I'm not playing him in the right position. And this is the problem myself with the system I use, the formation I use. Some players just don't fit. For instance, Janino, he's another one, very, very good player, but he just doesn't seem to fit into my system. Lee Boyer's gone off the boil. Actually, Rui Costa is better in that central midfield position than Boyer. So this is what I'm looking at. Maybe to get the extra man in there, in the attacking midfield role, maybe so I can shove Rui Costa in midfield where I think he's better. So, yes, we've got... I don't really want to name them yet because it's still open, isn't the window's still open. But the one I'm looking at, he's 32-year-old. He probably would. He's a typical Stackington signing. He's been there, he's done it, he's still got the pace, and he still scores goals. So he's the one I'm looking at, but I've got a couple of other irons in the fire as well.
Very, very intriguing. And when a former pro scout is looking at players, the rest of the league should take warning, that is for sure. What are your hopes and expectations for the second half of the season? I presume your first aim is to break into the top 6, and then is it see where it can go? Or are you still looking at first get into the top 6, then do the job in the playoffs, then go and win it?
Well, it's just to get into the playoffs, Steve, because once I'm in the playoffs, I know from past experience, once I'm in the playoffs, even 6th place, I can get to the final. So my push is to get into that playoff position and perhaps consolidate in there. Even at 6th place, that will do me because then I can have a push in the finals.
Before I ask you to go through the table and name your 1 to 14, if we just take a moment away from the Super League, talk to me about your World Cup game at the minute. How much are you enjoying it?
Oh, it's going very well. It's going very well indeed. We're now in the knockout stages. There's quite a lot of banter on there as well as there is on on ours. 1 or 2 shock results. It's going very well indeed. Very well indeed. And England, your old team are still in there.
No pressure on the current manager, but even I managed to win the World Cup with them.
You did. You won it with England, yeah.
Yeah. And that was a mental final against Spain as well when I won it.
Yes. Spain are not doing too well at the moment. So, but England, I think it's I don't know if you know him or not. He's called Steve, and he goes STEW. So I don't know if you know him or not, but he's...
Yeah, he joined us on the most recent Super League broadcast, I think. He was good value. And I've seen him, he gets involved in the likes of some of Boise's streams and stuff. He's definitely a very big part of the CM community at the minute. So yeah, I'm aware of him.
Yeah, he's very good and he's very keen.
Excellent. Away from Champ, obviously, it's been a very interesting season for teams up and down the country in real life, if you will. We've had the unfortunate situations at Bury. We've had Bolton. We've got the situation at the minute with Wigan. There's many other teams who, over the next 12 months, there's a lot of concern about. I know you've had concerns about Oldham. Do you see the whole coronavirus pandemic having a long-lasting impact on domestic football as we know it? Can you see the landscape changing?
I can in the lower divisions, even from Championship down. I can see that. Premiership, maybe not. They've got the money. They'll always have the money. So I think the Premiership will be okay. It's the Championship. Those who are striving to get into Premiership, spending a lot of money, they could be in trouble. Those at the bottom don't want to drop into Division 1. Same with the 1 to 2. And a lot of the clubs in Oldham's division could very well go into non-league under the current situation. A lot of it, to me, is down to owners and this financial fair play. That's just not worked at all. It needs revising. It's got to be revised. So, but like yourself, Swindon, they've gone up, depending what the budget is. And
Not a
I
lot.
think they'll do okay. I think because you've got a good manager there, you speak Oldham, play some good football. You'll bring the right men in, and not on fantastic wages. So I think you'll do quite well. So I think you've got the right idea at Swindon. You're on the right level. But other teams I worry about.
No, you are right. I've got to give a lot of credit to Richie Wellens. He is playing some outstanding football at the county ground. We know we've already lost the likes of Doyle and Yates from last season, but unlike previous campaigns where when you lose players like that, I'm still confident the manager will get the right players in. He's very shrewd. And I must say, I was never a big fan of him as a manager, but we've got Paul Jewell on board as well, who seems to be helping Richie out a lot in terms of scouting. And
he was at Oldham as well, Paul Jewell. So they've worked together before. Yeah.
Where do you see Oldham at the moment? Can you see them progressing, or are they a club you're worried about their future existence?
It's difficult. They've got an owner there. A lot of people don't like the owner because he's brought in a lot of foreign-based players from mainly the French 5th Division. And very, very few of them have turned out to be good. There is one that might be okay. He's called Mohamed Mouche. He's a midfielder, and he's been the best of the bunch so far. And he's been the only one retained. He must have signed about 20, but he's the only one that's been retained. So the problem is he may bring some more in next season.
Are they looking for that next sort of Kante and Mahrez type signing? Is that what you think they're looking for?
He's looking for one because we had a player, brought in a player from France, and he'd actually played in the top league in France. Brought him over here on loan. I think it might have been Auxerre. Brought him on loan. Paid him, I think, £11,000 a week.
11 grand at that level.
I think he was hoping that this fellow would be a sensation in Division 2. You see, but the lifestyle and the game is totally different in Division 2 than it is in France. And the lad just couldn't cut it. He couldn't cope. He lasted about 2 or 3 months, and then he's gone back. So how many players could he got for that sort of wage in Division 2? You know, good players could have got 4, maybe. Good players for that, for one flop. And that's what's gone wrong. It is changing a little bit now because they've got the manager in called Maria, and he's bringing in a lot of what you call second division players. Players that have played there in the second division and they've done it before. He was at Stevenage. So he knows the ropes. He had them up there and then he went down again, but he knows the ropes. He knows the type of player to bring in. So if he's allowed to do and bring in the players he wants, I think we might be okay. He has signed a couple of good players on long-term deals, but I think the reason for that is not so much they're going to keep them, is that they're going to sell them.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea. You know, you've seen this before. If you sign a player on a 2-year deal, these clubs are thinking, well, we might be able to sell him. in the next year. And this is what's happened. We've got a good player called Durnley, ex-Manchester United, and it's just signed him on a 2-year deal. He's one that could go by Christmas next year, because he'll score goals. A bit of a Doyle type.
Okay.
So, and he brought a player in from non-league called Danny Rowe, played non-league all his life at 29. He's looked quite a toe in Division 2, quite a toe. So I'm optimistic that if he's allowed to do, we'll be okay. If he starts these flood of imports again, the French Fish Division, I fear the worst.
Let's get back to the Super League, what all the viewers are really interested in, and an opinion that I think carries as much, if not more weight than just about everyone else's, because of the legendary status you hold in the community. I want to know, not on the fence, Alf, 1 to 14, or 14 to 1, whichever you prefer, who's going to finish where this season?
Well, I've got the list prepared for this, Steve. I knew I was going to ask this question, so I've got it all ready for you. Right, and I'll go 14. Can I go downwards? 14?
Please.
14. This might surprise you. Chudley.
Ooh,
and the reason is,
yes,
the reason is they concede far too many goals. Is it 32, Steve, so far this season? Far too many goals. That carries on. I think they could finish bottom. Then 13th, I've got Sloths.
Yes, Alf. Yes, Alf.
They're not scoring enough goals. So I think they could remain in the bottom, 13th. BTEC.
Ooh.
Squad looks great. Also looks very unsettled. maybe too many star conflicting, but I've got BTEC, who should be doing better, but in 12th. 11th, Oldham.
Oh, I'm loving this, Alf.
They're just not winning enough games. That's the problem. Only a few games they won this season. They carry on like that, they're going to be just where they are, 11th. 10th, Swindon Devils.
Top 10, come on.
Top 10. This is a team that's on the up. They found the form, and I can see them doing as the manager has done before, winning 5 on the trot.
You hear this, Super League fans worldwide? Alf knows, trust in Alf. The Devils are on the up.
So that takes probably a good run, but you might have the odd blip, so that's why I'm keeping Swindon in 10th. 9th, Dragons. Very inconsistent. They either win or lose. So I think they're going to finish outside at 9th. Ools. They're similar to Dragons. They either win or lose. So I'm having them at 8th. 7th. This is where we get to the crunch now.
This is where it gets interesting, because you're going to put yourself in the top 6. I can see it, Al. Who misses out?
Panathinaikos in 7th.
Ooh.
Because looking at their record, they suffer from inconsistency. So that might just edge them out and let me in. On 6th place, Aster.
Go on, the Aster.
Aster have got the track record. They're always in and around the playoffs, and they've been in the finals. And a big surge is expected. So they're going to be there 6th and ready to go into the finals. 5, Midlothian.
Oh.
Yeah, they've done well, but I have a feeling they could waver in the second half of the season. They've had some good results, but I have a little feeling they might waver, so I'm putting them in the playoffs, but 5th. 4th, Churchtown.
Wow.
They score lots and lots of goals, but they concede a lot too. And I don't think that might look to take to the finals, but it will keep them in the playoffs. Ardsley, 3rd.
Oh, no. Don't get on the Bolton bandwagon, Alf.
3rd, strong outfit, but could be lacking the experience to get into the finals.
He has got a history of bottle jobbing. Let's be
Yeah.
fair.
So that's why I'm putting Asley third. And the top two are probably no surprise, but the top one might be. I'm going for second, Vallon.
Oh, Alf, no. You know
Not,
how inflated Ryan's ego is.
he's not quite the force he was, but he's always in the final countdown. So I'm going for Vallon in second. Bolton. I think he's been there, he's done it, and he'll do it again. He's come from behind before and won the final. I have a feeling he could do it again. So champions, for me, Bolton.
And do they then go on and win the Super League trophy as well, do you think? Or is there someone else? If it's not Aster, who is it?
Vallon. Vallon.
London.
Vallon, because he has got a good all-round team and he's been there before.
Wow. Alf, I have to say, I mean, that is an incredible prediction. As it stands right now, I'll take 10th. Thank you very much. It has been an absolute pleasure and an absolute honour to have you on for this half hour or whatever we've had. Cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your evening to talk to me. Good luck for the rest of the season. And yeah, I hope to have you on again very soon. I've got a few more things planned. So now that we've got the hang of Zoom together, I'm hoping we'll see a lot more of each other, pal.
Yeah, we'll do that, Steve. I'll come on again and we can talk about our scouting exploits.
You take care, sir. It's been an honour.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Alf. Bye.
Right.